Ferrari engines are shit.
Oh no!
We'll
Don't
get
even
there.
get me started. Oh.
We'll get there.
Let's get into it, boys.
Azerbaijan.
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 Well done, Baku. Well done.
Well done, Baku.
Well done, Baku.
I like that track. I don't know
love
where the
that
hell
track. This is probably the
Baku
calmest
is.
race we've seen, but it was still chaotic for Baku or for F1 standards. Baku always delivers. It
Yes.
always delivers.
it's the layout of the track. It's long, fast straightaways.
It's one of the most uncharacteristic but like very challenging tracks. Honestly, like with how much like the workload on the drivers during the lap to change your brake bias for each corner is actually kind of insane. I was watching a onboard telemetry of Alonso. He changed his settings 15 times during one lap at Baku.
Holy shit.
That's too much. That's too much for a driver to be.
For
That's not
brake
even
balance,
driving.
his brake balance, his torque, his mid corner diff speed, whatever. He was adjusting that too. And it was like kind of crazy.
Before we go too far into it, Oliver Piastri, who, Chris, you love
Oscar.
your Australian drivers.
Oscar.
Like,
Yeah.
Oscar. I'm sorry.
Piastri.
Oscar
Thinking
Piastri.
of,
He'll just get crucified.
You're thinking of
sorry.
Oliver.
Ask you, maybe.
Oliver Askew.
Yeah.
Might have been. But anyway, there's rumors that he could end up in a Renault or Alpine now. But who would leave?
I don't
Yes,
think it's going to
Ivana.
happen next year.
I don't think it happens.
They're talking about it.
I don't think it will because I think Fernando's liking this too much.
Yeah, he wants to be in there for like another 2
So?
or 3 years. I mean, hey, it doesn't matter. A valid
Alpine
point.
could just as easily be like, "Oh, you wanted that? That's nice."
Yeah, but then Fernando's also going to go, you want my money still?
Or my talent, dude.
Or
Do you
my
know how much
talent?
he drags up that fucking Alpine? Esteban Ocon finished 10th, while at least Alonso finished 7th yesterday. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it makes you wonder, right? That 15 times you're changing settings in a lap. Is that because he knows like right away what changes he wants in the car every single time he touches any of the inputs? Or is that because that's what it takes to drive that car? Is that really what Alpine is banking on? This is how you have to pilot this machine to be competitive with it?
well, if you watch any actual fast Formula One driver, and I was watching an interview with Lewis Hamilton, and he said that there's an optimum feel for each corner. And you can adjust that every single lap with brake bias, differential settings, your torque, stuff like that. So when I watch a driver, and if they're not adjusting a lot on the steering wheel, depending on the track, I mean, you can kind of tell if they're not maximizing the full potential out of their car. Because
it's kinda always
as
been that
many
way.
times as you have taken a corner in racing, CJ or Chris, and you've taken a corner, and you're like, man, that feels like shit. Well, an F1 car is sophisticated enough where you can just change that with the straightaway, hopefully. And if it still feels like shit, then
And that's why they do it, is because then you hop into your, S63, Black Series, whatever, and it changes thousands of times per second to change that feel, that damper setup, so that the car is comfortable because it's always adapting. That's interesting. That was 15 times a lap. I didn't realize it was that much, but I could see it. But
I mean, yeah.
I will say also, it's exemplified just how hard these things are to drive. Sebastian Vettel, can we just talk about the save that he had where he outbroke himself, and he had that car turned around and going the right way again, and like they timed it. It was like 3.5 seconds. It was the equivalent of an extra stop they put it.
and it was so cool.
Lando that did that, it would have taken him 10 seconds. Lando
Ferrari, though, man.
Lando can't turn around a car to save his life, it looks like. Good Lord.
Ferrari, though, I think they have a serious valve train issue. Because
Ferrari's engines changed 4 times in the race.
Yeah, I was listening to that really intently, like trying to hear the in-car camera really closely, and it sounded as though when those motors both quit, there was nothing. There was not really much fire. There wasn't a whole lot of smoke. Whatever. It sounded like the valve train broke. Like you could hear, like what it sounded to me like the classic when a valve hits a piston.
Hydraulics on all 4. If I remember correctly, I think they said hydraulics on all 4.
And when they say hydraulics, I mean, granted, this is a very grotesque way to describe it, but you only have a handful of hydraulic systems in the car.
Grotesque? The fuck does that mean?
You don't know what grotesque means? You grotesque fuck.
I'm so sorry to anyone watching this who is the same amount of dumb as me because I have no fucking clue what
The
half
same
of his
amount of dumb
vocabulary
as
is.
me. We all possess dumb, but no one's stupid.
Just
so
as
it's not
dumb
as
as me,
you're
is that
as
what you
stupid
mean?
as I am. But they say hydraulics. It doesn't necessarily mean that could mean oil. That could mean a lot of different things. You know, they could play semantics a lot. You could say your fuel system is hydraulics in a lot of ways. Like if you were using it to physically move something. So, I mean, they do have the gearbox, and I believe teams use a hydraulic actuated gearbox. So that could also be it too. But yeah, it sounded like kind of how the Red Bulls did in the beginning of the season when they just like, you could tell there was so much detonation from that fuel that they burned through something and the engine just exploded. And they both did it at the same time, which, you know, they're running the same limits on it. But it was a really good race, dude. I liked that race from Baku. It did deliver again. I thought George Russell had a shot for a second. I really thought that leaders would end up taking each other out.